She would like that. She's really yeah, too. They've been friends that she went with. So really? And I think they've only one daughter. Sure. Good. Sister is still. And I just. She's still her. Sister. You don't push too much. Until my mind gets to me. So letting go. Right, right. It's nice to meet you.
Sweet, never let me go. How in my life and so love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfill. For my dawn and away. Love me tender, love me long. Or if instead that I am love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfill. For my darling, and by always love me tender, love me dear. I'll be yours through all the years till the end of time. Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfill. For my darling, and I all
Serving committed volunteers, welcomes all tonight we gather to pay tribute to the family and to celebrate the it is good and beautiful to be together to Gloria's family. We are so grateful to share this. You are forever part of our to Gloria's classmate, today, her former students, neighbors, associates, and beloved friends. Welcome to each and every one of you. Thank you for your this. 5 months ago, we started planning our journey, a time when we gathered friends and supporters in gratitude for sharing in our vision. At that time, we imagined an event would be held on May 18th, tomorrow, with Gloria and Gloria's army. We wanted to acknowledge the commitment to one decade of studies in our summer upon the completion of our degree with the project here. Over time, through the challenges of planning, we needed to change the date and then we needed to change our focus. We knew that Gloria's house, with Gloria's, we could not anticipate positively. We reminiscing here with us, hosting comedy and old friends, and offering our reflection of the home. We decided to let go of that plan, to have her as the guest speaker and yet here we are. History brings us here on the eve of the peace of God to sit in a struggle and remember His life as our guest. Now, because of Gloria's death, our original plan has become much longer. We are not just updating her years spent in hospital, we are updating 82 years of relationship, ministry, family, adventure, formation, revolution. When I think of Gloria, I think of the word human and humanness. She lived in such a real and authentic way, attending to the physical and bodily and material needs of our people. Her love was very concrete, and she herself embraced both in brokenness and beauty. She remembers the brokenness of our world, and God embraced glory in our own brokenness and beauty. I witnessed Gloria experience struggle to overcome the brokenness within herself. And what I sensed in her was God saying, I love you no matter what. You don't have to be perfect. To, you don't have to be somebody else, and you don't even have to be better. You just need to be you. Gloria has tremendous capacity for love, fully accepted and embraced other people, exactly where they were. And I believe we are here to remember that truth of pure love, which embraces us tonight completely as we are authentic, vulnerable, broken, and beautiful. One personal story that I would like to share. When I was named provincial, Gloria called me on the phone and very friendly said, Leanne, don't want to be. I didn't want to be but thank you for taking the job. I'm praying for you. I will support you. I then asked Gloria, since she was provincial before, do you have any advice for me? And she said, for a very good speech director, give a very good speech direction for everything. And remember ways to step away, to run away, to take time, do something you enjoy. Take care of yourself and enjoy it. I love and appreciate your responsibilities. For honesty, for authenticity. Not many people are lucky enough to say what they want to. But she on opportunity owned how she felt. And she didn't promise to stand by me in that complexity of communication. Gloria was courageous and strong experience. She was a leader. And she also was humble. She showed up unwillingly her love for me. And so tonight, as we said, we create space to share and to listen. May Gloria's love and wisdom be felt, and by the Holy Spirit through our brokenness.
A reading from the letter to the Ephesians.
Blessed be God, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has blessed us with all the spiritual blessing of heaven in Christ.
Before the world was made, he chose us in Christ, to be holy and spotless and to live through love in his presence, determining that we should become his adopted children through Jesus Christ.
And it is in him that we were praying as God's own chosen from the beginning, chosen to be for his greater glory, the will of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Eve was near. Ah, the fox said, I shall weep. It's your own fault, the little prince said. I never wanted to do you any harm. Yes, of course, the fox said. But you're going to weep, said the little prince. Yes, of course, the fox said. Then you get nothing out of it. I get something, the fox said, because of the color of the wheat. Then he added, go look at the roses again. You'll understand that yours is the only rose in all the world. Then come back to say goodbye, and I'll make you the gift of a secret. The little prince went to look at the roses again. You're not at all like my rose. You're nothing at all yet, he told them. No one has tamed you, and you haven't tamed anyone. You're the way my fox was. He was just a fox like 100,000 others. But I've made him my friend, and now he's the only fox in all the world. And the roses were humbled. You're lovely, but you're empty, he went on. One couldn't die for you. Of course, an ordinary passerby would think my rose looked just like you. But my rose, all on her own, more important than all of you together, since she's the one I watered, since she's the one I put under glass, since she's the one I sheltered behind a screen, since she's the one for whom I killed the caterpillars, except the 2 or 3 for butterflies, since she's the one I listened to when she complained, or when she boasted, or even sometimes when she said nothing at all, since she's my rose. And he went back to the fox. Goodbye, he said. Goodbye, said the fox. Here is my secret. It's quite simple. One sees clearly only with the heart. Anything essential is invisible to the eyes. Anything essential is invisible to the eyes, the little prince repeated, in order to remember. It's the time you spent on your rose that makes your rose so important. It's the time I spent on my rose, the little prince repeated, in order to remember. People have forgotten this truth, the fox said. But you mustn't forget it. You become responsible forever for what you've tamed. You're responsible for your rose. I'm responsible for my rose, the little prince repeated, in order to remember.
Personal reflection to call to mind a specific memory with Gloria, a specific opportunity in life that opened because of Gloria, and sit with that memory, that feeling, the magnitude of her influence in our world. And open up our circle of stories and sharing. I'm delighted to begin this circle. My name is Kathleen. I am a handmaid sister of Gloria and a longtime friend. I've been with Gloria for many years. We went to school together. We played basketball together. I played better than she. She would. I know what she's saying now. I think we'll learn a lot about Gloria, I'm sure. We'll learn a lot about each other too. I know that we are anxious to hear also from Gloria's family. Gloria's family loved her with unparalleled love that only a family can do. So we are anxiously waiting to hear that. We want to hear from her students also that actually received the gift of Gloria's tremendous ability to educate profoundly. We also want to hear from the people whose lives have been changed significantly because of the experience that Gloria allowed you to have in El Salvador. All of you, her friends, her sisters, are very important roses. You know the essential in life because your life touched Gloria's. Sharing a story that happened many years ago with myself and Gloria. We set out one day, a long time ago, on a very important trip. We were supposed to go to a very important conference for 3 days that was sponsored by the Resource Center for Religious. That year. So we drove very leisurely down through many states, and all of a sudden we realized that our timing was not correct. We were running out of time, and it was possibly because we had made several steps to have a bite to eat. Slowed us down. So we began to pick up speed a little bit, and we were dashing toward our hotel in Memphis, when all of a sudden we saw signs for Graceland. Oh my. It only took a few moments before we forgot totally about the keynote speaker at our hotel in Memphis, and we veered right off the road, and we drove directly to the parking lot at Graceland. When we got out of that car, it was like a miracle. It was like a transformation. We were like crazy 15 or 16-year-old teenagers. We went into that place, we checked out every glitzy room in that building, and we sang every song along with Elvis. The whole time we toured Graceland. Amazing. We did eventually get back in the car. It took where we were supposed to, but not, we did miss the keynote speaker, but we put the tape of the keynote speaker so we could bring it home. And we told the sisters that we really want you to hear this because it was really good. I reflected on that experience many times for this reason. Gloria could sing every Elvis Presley song with all the verses from beginning to end. And when she sat in this chapel, she would get so mad at us if we sang the second verse of any hymn. We think about her every time we start the second verse. Can I pass this microphone to? It'll only be 1 minute talk. Yeah, okay.
So to most of you, you knew Sister Gloria, but we knew her as Aunt Gloria. So oftentimes, if we went to Aunt Chalet, so my brother is also here, my other brother couldn't make it tonight, but we always called her the Flying Nun. Reason being is because we had, I'm not going to give away my age, but Joe has almost had 50 years with Aunt Gloria. I'm much younger. So we got a good chunk of Aunt Gloria. So she was at every one of, she was at my baptism, she was at my communion, my confirmation, and my husband so lovingly reflects that she spent most of that time trying to convince him to adopt a child from El Salvador during the entire confirmation when she should have been paying attention because she was my sponsor. When Gloria was on a mission, Gloria was on a mission. I'm sure everyone in this room has been touched by her mission in some way, shape, and form, whether you knew it or not. And if she had a mission for you, she would let you know, and the soft eyes, well, I don't want to, that's fine. It's my grandmother's guilt trip. And then I'd give her anything. She would often say, when are you coming to El Salvador? So you have to have 2 consecutive days of hot water. Until you have 2 consecutive days of hot water, I'm not coming, but whatever you need, I'll give you to go down there. El Salvador was her home. Even though here was her home, she loved El Salvador a lot. She loved us and she loved every one of you. Been in the villa reflecting with us and letting us know all the stories about the, everybody and who was down there and what they were doing and what everybody was up to. She loved her sisters, the handmaids of the Sacred Heart, who are our family as well. This room is filled with family and friends. If anything you knew about Gloria, Sister Gloria, she loved to gather around the table. She loved to feed people a lot, and she could stretch a meal like there was no tomorrow. And she loved that. She loved to sit down. And I'm sure most of you have times in El Salvador where you would sit down and at the end of the day, you would all eat together. That was probably one of her favorite parts. That was one of her favorite times to sit down and connect with the family one-on-one and get to know you even more, and then get you up and work till the next day without skipping a beat. So one story, since my father is no longer here and they're partying in heaven together, he would want me to tell the story of his sister. So they had an uncle who would often come to visit them, and the uncle would hand out change. And in his hand would be a dime and a nickel. And Sister Gloria, before she was Sister Gloria, would convince her brother to take the bigger one. And time again, she would do this to my father, who as soon as the uncle put out his hand, he would take the bigger one, all knowing in her mind what she was doing. The uncle finally caught on, and one day he opened up his hand to a dime and a quarter. A sister, Gloria, was not so happy. But that's just what it was. She was the eldest of 5. She unfortunately buried her sister and a niece young. She was there with my father when he took his last breath. And she's there to welcome everybody else at the gates. So we know that she's up there right now having one hell of a party and only wanted to hear happy memories and joy, because that's the way she was. We all gathered around and ate today, which she would have loved, absolutely 110%. I'm so glad to see a lot of her family and cousins and here with us today, and to see all the sisters who I've known since I was yay big. I've known Sister Kathleen and Sister Maureen and Auntie and everybody else since I was little, which often when I would head to the convent, it was more so because I was in trouble, because she was going to yell at me for doing something I should have been doing before my parents had a chance to yell at me. But everybody else thought I was so holy. Sorry. But she knew the truth. I mean, we were so excited. One of the photographs is when she came back from Ireland, hence why we called her the Flying Nun. She would be gone for years at a time to us, but time didn't stop for us. It wasn't a long time for us. So she's just gone and she came back. So we were so happy to greet her and see her. She would often spend time down my parents' shore house on retreat, which really meant what? Sitting in front of the TV, watching every NCIS, CSI, and if Monk was still on rotation somewhere, we were watching Monk and enjoying the greatest. She would also come here with the most amount of suitcases I've ever seen. And I'd ask her, what are in these suitcases? And there's books. I was like, let me introduce you to something known as the library. But no, she had her own internal library. She would fly with these books in these suitcases. And so somebody has to tell me about these books. I have no idea why we would cart these books out of the airport all the time and pick her up. But even at the villa, there was a nurse that would take care of Aunt Gloria. And even at the villa, to her last days, she was trying to get other people to do what she wanted them to do for themselves. And there was a nurse who had not taken one of her tests. And Aunt Gloria wrote her and told her she needed to do that. And that nurse passed her exam the day she passed. So even then, right up until the very end, she was helping people as much as she could and giving half the villa diabetes because she needed to give everybody candy. And she was telling us it was for the nurses, but we think she was handing it out to everybody. Some reasons there is too, But she also wanted to feed everybody there, so she would often have me call caterers to get food and bring pizza to feed the nurses and the staff and people at the front. Sorry, sister, at the front door. Like contraband. So I'm sure, but that's what she did. She wanted to be welcoming and open her arms to everybody and have everybody gather around because it was one big family. So I appreciate every one of you. Our family appreciates every single one of you who are here today to help us celebrate, and those who can't be here with us in person to help us celebrate one heck of a lady. So thank you.
Yes, we are going to miss her very much. Kathy and I will up to see her every day. And I know Kathy's missing her too. But she was a great sister to me. And the day she brought Kathy's card, I go, Gloria, you're going the wrong way. Go to the airport. I'm not going to the airport. She was taking me down to the airport. I said, I think I go, I'm not going to the airplane. And she also liked Dairy Queen. Scream. So everybody go out there and scream from Gloria.
Oh, Joe. I'm her nephew. Since we're closely related, we would, well, you know, as a sister, she doesn't have much stuff. They live very simple lives. They don't, you know. So that begs the question: at Christmas time, what do you get from a nun as a gift? And just whatever was around, and maybe a keychain or something that was hanging on the wall. But it had a purpose. It had some thought behind it. Something. You know, she'd be giving cones for some reason. And if she didn't have anything at all, we would get what's called a spiritual bouquet. It was her well wishes, you know, like on a Christmas card. And but a Christmas card costs money, so sometimes it wasn't a Christmas card.
For those who don't know me, I'm Sister Gloria's youngest sister. And I had the privilege of being taught by Sister Gloria for 4 years. And that was really very interesting because sometimes I would forget and go, sister, one sister, please. Mimi can tell you that, Tricia, in class. It was an interesting thing. She taught me 4 years, 4 sciences. I will say I got mostly A's in science, and not because of her. She was a very tough teacher. She then ended up being my guidance counselor on top of that. Praise the Lord, the next year she was the principal after I graduated. I don't know how to handle that. She then decided to go to college and what I was going to major in. Anyway, it did work out. I had a 47-year career, and so it did work out fine. Fortunately, she did have that foresight. As a sister, I will say that she treated me as an equal, even though I was the youngest and she was the oldest. We did a lot of decision making together. We had a lot of illnesses in our family, and it was always Gloria and I in the waiting room. It was always Gloria and I making the decisions. I was always the family's medical power of attorney, and a lot of times I was hers. We always were the ones sitting there and making the decisions, and she always treated me as the equal. We were always the ones, unfortunately, when my sister was sick in California, it was the two of us there taking care of her. And same with my dad and my mom. And that's a lot for the oldest to treat the youngest like that. I mean, especially when we started approximately 11. Thanks. The other thing she taught me is that giving is better than receiving. My sister has always, at Christmas time, if you give her something, it has to be something to share. Her Christmas gifts that I give her, and there's several, are things that have to be shared with the convent or with her homeless group of people and all. So everything has to be something that can be shared. And so Bill and I at Christmas, we don't give each other gifts. It's something, the angel tree is our Christmas exchange and all. And you learn that that's a lot more fulfilling than giving each other something. But that was my sister's example. She has lived her vows all her life. She lives by example. And she's been a wonderful role model to me.
I don't know why I'm telling you all this, because maybe it's everybody's story, but it's what's stuck with me from Sister Gloria. My name's Jenny, and I went to El Salvador with Sister Gloria. And somewhere along the line, she told the story about growing up, and I don't think there was an excess of money. And she was washing the dishes, and she stacked up the plates, and she dropped them in the room. And she was in tears. Why am I in tears? And her mom came along and said, Gloria, we don't cry over things, we cry over people. And that always stuck with me, and I think, so we know a little bit about where Gloria and you all got your stuff. And I just think in this world where I'm too attached to my possessions, just think what a beautiful lesson. And it wasn't as if, there was another stack of dishes in the cupboard. And I just thought it was beautiful. And it seemed to.
Hi, I'm Tricia. I was a student of Sister Gloria's, as is Mimi and Kathy, class of 73. I always adored her. She was so kind to me. I grew up really, my mother abandoned us when we were children, and I never talked about it, but I know she knew. And she just always took me under her wing. She was kind to me. She would pick me up sometimes and take me to Sugarloaf, the conventions, and she would have the girls all stay over at the school, and we'd have powwows and talks, and she was just like a big sister. And the week before she passed, Mimi and I went over to visit her, and we had 3 beautiful hours with her. We wheeled her out in the sunshine. She literally put her face back and loved the sun. And we just told her how much we adored her and mentored her and what she meant to us. And, we were talking for a while. In the beginning, I said, do you remember us? Because we were there a few times. Jim and I went, Mimi and I went. And I said, you had so many girls over the years. How do you really remember us all? And then she's like, of course I remember you and your sister Fran. And I said, and then my sister Franny was the last year at LaSalle. So she was very good to her. She was a great basketball player. I think she always looked after us and always cared. I know for a while we were, having a hard time paying tuition, and she got a job for my father as a groundkeeper. But she always did things that I realized after I was older, but I always knew her heart was so big, and she always had a fond place in my heart. And I just wanted to share how much I loved her and what she did for everyone. And she loved El Salvador. She talked about it. And, just everyone that has been good to her, she's always wanting to give back. So thank you. I'm glad you all.
Hello, everybody. My name is Noah O'Brien. So I think that the impact that Sister Gloria has had on me, I mean, the reason that I'm in the United States is because of Sister Gloria. I've known Sister Gloria since I was 4 years old, and now I'm 22. I think that as I see everybody sharing stories, I think that it would not be fair for me to just speak on my own story because of the impact that she has had in El Salvador, and Las Delicias, and so many places that Sister Gloria was just loved by everybody that she came in contact with in El Salvador. Her spirit when she met someone in Las Delicias was just something that was just love. You could sense it in the sense of this person's here to help, but it's somebody who you can also confide in, and somebody who you knew that was going to be there for you to take care of you or to just listen. As I look back in my life, at St. Joe's, and I think that a lot of the lessons that you learn with life and how tough it can be sometimes to live in a country like El Salvador, or the struggles that go behind that you may not see as a little kid. I think Sister Gloria was the big part of the reason why we may not see those issues, because she was there to help the families, build a home for so many individuals, and all the kids. I mean, I have so a very, very special connection to Sister Gloria. She would take me to the volunteer house sometimes, and I was consider myself so lucky that she would pick me to go to the volunteer house, and I would stay up until midnight to help her pick all the prices that she would give away the next day. And then when I would go back to Las Delicias, she would make sure that I had peanut butter and jelly full to go, a bag of prices, and things like that. It's just, and that's just my experience. I would consider her like a mother, and honestly, to me, for how much she looked out after me, and the connection that I have with her will last over my life. And I think that when I make an ethical decision, I will always look back at the role model that Sister Gloria has been for me. So, thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jim O'Brien. Half of the people here know me as Connor's dad. The other half know me as Milton's dad. Sister Gloria, we were blessed, my wife and I, with Connor. And we sent Connor to Angela, where he received this wonderful education with Sister Maureen and Sister Kathleen and everybody over there. And it's a wonderful experience. Through Angela, I heard about the FIAT program and the ties to El Salvador. So I was able to go to El Salvador and I met Sister Gloria. And through Sister Gloria, I heard the story of Milton. And the long story short is our family became complete because Sister Gloria was able to bring us together.
Any volunteers who went to El Salvador and Milton, I met you when you were 4. Over the years, I went back many times with different members of my family, all of whom were greatly impacted by Sister. My children, who are all adults, are not at all involved in organized religion. She was such a perfect example of God's love in everyday life, all the time. And nobody had to tell them. Each one in their own way got it from her, and it stuck. We've all loved her very much. We've all had a lot of fun with her, done a lot of work with her, and we really miss her. But what a great gift she's been in our lives for many years. So I am grateful to know her.
What I forgot to tell you, that even though my sister has been sick and in the village for the last almost a year, within the last 2 months, I actually had my sister volunteering. I actually work at a food bank, a pantry with my church. And we started getting the Hispanic population coming to our food bank. And I needed a translator. So I got my iPhone and I called my sister and she helped me translate the application. And so I utilized her from her bed. So I put her to work. So she might have been in a bed, but I utilized her skill. And believe it or not, I hadn't used my Spanish in many years. I was the only one at the food bank speaking Spanish. So every other Saturday, I had a lineup. And thank God I remember my numbers and they have their phone numbers. So I didn't read Spanish, I turn out. Or I call my sister. So actually almost to the end, she was still volunteering.
Hi, everybody. I'm a 1965 graduate of Angela. My sister graduated in 71, I think. Ellen Higgins. I don't know if do you know Ellen? Yeah, she was a cheerleader. She's the firecracker. I was not then. I got to be. Oh, really? Wait till I tell her. And your Mimi is Trisha. I'm sorry, Trisha. So when I graduated in 65, I feel like a dinosaur, but Gloria, I think, was in the novitiate at that time, I guess. So I didn't really know her then. I might have met her once or whatever. So, and then I got to know her, I became an associate, always came back, to be with AMAs. And, but then after my mother passed away, I was very close to my mom, and my dad too, but especially my mom. And, 2012, I was really heartbroken because we were like best of friends. And I thought, I knew about Gloria in El Salvador, so I thought, I'm gonna go down. I loved it, and I loved it. And then when, about 3 years later, I guess it was 2015, when I met Milton, I guess then he was I just fell in love with him. And sister told me that he was here and I couldn't believe it. I got to know Gloria, more and I just loved El Salvador. And I was a teacher for 48, retired from teaching, I think I took 48 years, about 10 years ago. And I just love being with these little children at Las Delicias. And Gloria was just so wonderful to me. I mean, I think she had an office with some air conditioning, and she'd allow us to go in, be with her. And then she told us about a coffee shop. There's another gal Carol Bueno, who's also an associate and volunteers here a lot. She let us discover this coffee shop, and we went in there and had a great cup of coffee and had loads of air conditioning. And she was just so wonderful to us. And we had powwows and we made them talk. You loved her. She was so open. And my second time in El Salvador, I had fallen. I was playing frisbee, I think, with somebody, and I just needed a break. And the groups of young people volunteering hadn't come yet. So she said, "I know what you and Carol need." This was so wonderful, and that she did this. She said, "I want you to go to this little town called Sushi Toto, which is beautiful. It's like an artsy colonial place." And Lynette and Miguel, who were friends of the associates, they drove us there. And we had a reprieve at this resort for like a day or a night. She let us stay there. And I remember I was ordering double shots of pina coladas. I think I mentioned that to her, but I don't think she would have minded. And Carol and I kept saying, I think we're the only people at this resort. I mean, this was just wonderful. So she let us have this little respite, and then we came back and helped you out after that. But she was just so warm and loving and giving. The first visit, I feel that she introduced me to Oscar Romero, who I didn't know that much about. What a wonderful man. And then the second visit, it was more materialistic, and I had sushi toto and like cocktails and whatever. So I just love you, Gloria. Rest in peace.
I'm Sister Margaret Scott, and I was in Ireland when Gloria came to teach biology in St. Raphaela High School there. And Gloria arrived, and it's a 2-year course for the final exam. And she said, "Hey guys, I'm going to teach you first year to pass the exam. Second year, I'm going to teach you biology." But they loved her. They said they had never had a teacher like Gloria. But of course, being Gloria, she introduced new things into the school. She always went into school with a cup in her hand with coffee or Coke or something. And it never happened before. And so everybody started going into school. And carrot cake would appear on the table in the faculty room once a week. And that was a new thing, yeah. But there was a problem. In order to get paid in a secondary school in Ireland, you have to pass an Irish exam. It's this word. So Gloria had a teacher, and Gloria was practicing. She went for the exam first time. She failed. She said, "Never mind, I'll have another go." So, came again. She came. The third time she said, just leave this to me. So she hadn't gone to any more lessons. So she goes in and she's supposed to have this conversation, and she began in English and she said, if you guys don't pass me, I will not get paid. And so the sisters will not be able to pay for their electricity or their food. I said, all right, sister, you passed. So she said the only Irish she knew, Gloria, thank you very much. But perhaps the funniest memory I have of Gloria is in one of my generations. And she taught us all, including a very conservative, serious Mother General, to dance the hokey pokey. And I reckon that up in heaven, the angels are now dancing the hokey pokey.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Braithwaite. I have known Sister Gloria since I was a baby. My aunt was a handmaid. And so I've known her my whole life. I wasn't going to talk because I'm going to cry, so I apologize. I've been going to El Salvador since 2005, at least once a year, sometimes twice. And always loved Gloria, but she was really a remarkable, kind, loving, generous woman that I grew in appreciation even more for what a kind soul she was. She would give you the shirt off of her back in an instant, in an instant. And my siblings and I always called her No Filter Glow because she really had no filter. But she was one of the most genuine and loving, true. I could say any word, and I mean any word, to Gloria, and she was always loving and accepting, and she was just a genuine good soul. And she was very disappointed when we couldn't stay in El Salvador anymore. It was one of the biggest heartaches of her life. And in true Gloria fashion, she was true to her vocation and accepted it. And not only did she accept it, she still desired to be with the people of El Salvador. She just loved the children, especially in El Salvador. In true Gloria fashion, she moved to Miami, to Camilla's house, and fell in love with those people in the same way and the same amount of vigor and the same generosity of spirit and love with those people. And when I was lucky enough to be with her right before she passed, and we're going to forever be grateful for that. But I couldn't help thinking about, she had this one man, John, who escaped, and who she worried about and prayed about and called the 90-year-old father about. And I couldn't help but think about the joy she would have on her face when she saw John, because I'm sure John was probably already up with God. And the sheer joy she had reunited with her mom and her sister and everybody. So I will miss her. My kids, she has had a huge impact on all the kids. This generation, my kids' generation, all grown up, but they don't believe in organized religion too much. Just like Catholic school. But they interface with a holy woman in a very true and genuine way through El Salvador. And I thank her for that always.
My name is Jeff Barker, and I started going to El Salvador with sister probably in 2006, if you were 5. I found out by mistake that I knew her brother Joe and almost the entire family before I met sister. Truly one of the most unique, loving, caring people I've ever known. Sister, hope I don't get in trouble, but I often described her as a cross between Mother Teresa and a South Philadelphia politician. It's so much fun. And in that description of her, I think about one word, sharing. Whereas sister would share just about anything that she had. We found over the years a couple of things that she was not share. We went out one night and we bought her a large, and I mean a large tub, hiding it and not sharing with the volunteers. And it was in sort of repayment for the abuse that she used to love to give me. I embarrassed her into sharing it. I said, sister, you're a servant of God. How could you not share it? So she allowed every volunteer to get a spoon from the kitchen. And they all lined up and everybody was allowed to have one spoonful of ice cream. I was at the end of the line and I went and found one of the biggest serving spoons we had in the kitchen. We had the joy of going and visit her in Miami as well. And she, I wouldn't say convinced my friend and I, who had also been in El Salvador many times, to come with her to Camilla's house. And it was like we're in El Salvador again. The people there she loved, breaking all the rules. She wasn't supposed to bring snacks in. She brought snacks in. She, drove the people who were running it nuts, but the people, they loved her and she loved them. It was classic her. And then her final move back to Philadelphia is where we get to back again to the description of Mother Teresa and South Philadelphia politician. There was a sister here who was responsible for that move, who we were somewhat concerned about potential physical violence against for that final move. But in true Sister Gloria fashion, she went from possible unconfirmed threats of violence against Sister Leanne to a grudging acceptance to love and understanding, because Sister always put her life in God's hands, and she felt that was what God wanted. And I agree with Caroline. God was waiting for her as the express train rolled through the gates, because I can't think of anybody in this world really and will really always miss her. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Marie. I know Sister Gloria from Teams of Our Lady. There's a number of us here now. And she was our first spiritual director. So it was wonderful to have her, but we learned so much from her. I'm a realtor, as I know quite a few of you are in the room. And one night, somebody was talking about their house and she said, "Did you bury St. Joseph?" And I kind of guessed. I was like, "Sister, that's a superstition." And she goes, "Get over yourself." She said, "You have to kneel on the ground to bury that statue." So, but another story, there was a gentleman, and it might have been one that was mentioned earlier tonight, that I think he was homeless and she was trying to win his trust. And so she said, "I've got to give him something to do." And she brought this big box of mixed beads. And she said, "I need you to separate these by color. It's really important." She spent hours separating by color. And she said, "Okay, can you come back tomorrow? Because we're going to need this on a regular basis." So he came back the next day and she had taken all the beads that he had separated and poured them back into the box every day. So he had something to do. Oh, might have been a job yourself, right? It's the beads.
Well,
I have one little tale. Sister Gloria said something that I've never heard anybody say before or since. It's kind of a roundabout tale to get to it, but we were at dinner teams meeting, and she was talking about when she met the Pope. And I had known nothing about this. You're coached when you meet the Pope. You're not going to say you're coached about what you do and what you don't do, and the one thing you do not do is speak. Well, she was wearing a scarf someone had given her. I mean, some of you have heard this story. She's wearing a scarf, a red wig scarf that was given to her by someone, I think, there at the Vatican. And this was right after September 11th attack in New York. So she was wearing the scarf, and she was in the room, and the Pope commented on it. He asked a question. So Sister Gloria said something that I've never heard anybody ever say. She said, so I said to the Pope, oh yeah, she gave him the scarf.
I also went to Angela Domini, but the final class, so Frank was in my class. But Sister Gloria was my biology teacher and very influential. I ended up studying biology and becoming a researcher. But more importantly, she was my guidance counselor. I remember you, Denise. I had a feel that, but I had a difficult home life. She was very, very important. Gave me somebody to talk to. Nudged me towards what college I was going to go to also. Forced me into filling out my financial aid paperwork. I was delaying doing it, but she made me do it. Picked Villanova for me, and I lived 12 miles from campus, but she called up the dean of women and talked her into getting me on campus just to get me out of the house. And that probably saved me. And after college, I never went to El Salvador, but I went down to Peru with her in the early 80s. There, I had kind of a funny story. Sister Gloria was so careful in what she ate. Only prepackaged foods, just, boiled water, everything very, very, very careful. And, it wasn't, but, well, it's her own fault. She didn't take the medicine the doctor gave her. Yeah, well, I ate anything, and we both got sick. And we went to the doctor, and I took the medicine the doctor gave me, and Gloria didn't take the medicine the doctor gave her. She just took Imodium or something. Well, she got quite sick about 8 months later, but 3 months? Right, yes. Well, that is true. And yeah. Anyway, she was she was a fabulous person, and
So I'm one of those young people that have issues with organized religion, but Sister Gloria is someone who was such a pure embodiment of what the church strives to be, that she always drew people closer to God. And I think that was such a gift that we had in our family, and to have it so close to us was so meaningful, but to see the impact that she had so much wider is really beautiful to witness. The best model that Sister Gloria provided was her ability to serve with such pure compassion, which is a really hard thing to do. It's easy to have sympathy or pity, but her ability to embody that Christ-like love is something that she shared so generously, and we will benefit the rest of our lives. It's something that she was permanently.
So our sisters in Athens wanted to have a voice. And so they sent up words that they wanted everyone to know about the impact that Gloria had on their life and what is continuing to grow in Athens now. They refer to Gloria Petrone as the visionary and empowerer of the underprivileged. In 2002, the province outreach to the least of God's people was born in the small town of Athens. She was provincial at the time. She sent us forth to be living in the midst of the people we were to serve. So the convent was and is a trailer, like all the others in the trailer park, up to 10 units. She commissioned 3 of us for 1 year to see how we could help the Spanish-speaking newcomers in the country. Probably she never thought that this outreach for 1 year was going to flourish and turn out to be so empowering and effective in healing hearts of those who were wounded hearts. She only heard the cry of the poor when a young 15-year-old woman asked, "Madrecita, we need a place where we can feel welcome, loved, and appreciated. Would you provide that for us?" So, Oasis Católico Santa Rafaela was born to help the newcomers feel human again and to be able to pray and worship with the sisters. Sister Gloria, the visionary and empowerer, standing with the poor once made it possible for our after-school children to even graduate from college. 1 year turned into 22 and counting. Thank you, Sister Gloria, for being attentive to the Holy Spirit.
And so mindful of all that is felt, as we turn to the prayer that Jesus.
Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo. Canela.
Saint Raphaela Mary, Saint Roxburgh Mary. And so near the end of time in this sacred space, we thought would call upon all the handmade ones who have come before us in eternal life. And this blessing of our ancestors is written by a Celtic monk, Christine Walters Peter. So I invite you to open your heart to feel yourself grounded in this space and to let these words bless you. This blessing calls you home again to your collective inheritance of blood and bone, calls you to dance with generations who shimmer beyond the veil. We call on the great cloud of witnesses, the ones who inspire our courage, support our endurance, kindle our joy, and whisper words of hope. May the wise and well ones who are vibrant and radiant with healing, who have stepped into the expanse of love without hesitation, whose hearts are open wide, shower you with their blessing, so you know your ancient inheritance. Stand at a threshold and whisper some of their names. Grandmothers and grandfathers, back through hundreds and thousands of years, prayers for all that helps you navigate this world with ease. May they form a circle of protection around you to guard from anything that would wish you harm. Open the eyes of your heart to see they are already here, already dancing through your feet, your hips, your hands, the embrace of your arms, the movements of your spine, and the smile on your lips. This blessing dances in the threshold space with you at the turning of dawn or dusk, helping your heart stay open, attuned to the wisdom pouring forth. Sing aloud of gratitude, knowing they are already present. It is only your vision that must change to see. As we listen to the final song, we invite everyone to come up and take a yellow rose home with you to remember Gloria in the coming days. Photos to continue to meet and mingle. And on the organ on our way out, our prayer show ministry in Gloria's memory knit crocheted hearts for everyone to take with them as well.